Lukey.
Hey, Dr.
G'day,
Jubb.
mate.
Good day to you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Let's
for,
see. I'm just going
for
to
taking
turn this
my call.
noise down here.
Okay. How's my sound? I hope there's not any buzzing.
Oh, your sound is really buzzy.
Buzzy.
Yeah,
Let me
to
see.
me, coming through real buzzy.
Is that any better?
No, it's sort of really buzzy to me.
Okay.
I'd say that it probably is a recording buzzy. Is it that your microphone or something? Or
Yeah.
want to call back again?
I'm gonna
See if
turn the
it's the line.
I'm gonna turn. No, it's definitely not the line. It's definitely the microphone, if anything. Um, is that any better?
No, nothing has changed. It's really just buzzy.
So sorry.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
much.
So your mic is buzzy, right?
Um, maybe I'll just.
Put on
Um,
speakerphone.
well, I'm going through the computer now, but I could just mute the mic for the
Yeah,
moments when you're speaking, and then pop back on real quick so it's not too distracting.
yeah. But then they can't hear your question. I think it's really important we clear your voice up because everybody wants to, when you've asked a question or something.
Right.
No, we got some subject matter which you could let people know about. What is it like? Might we be talking a bit about, and then we can talk about that a bit. But
Okay.
yeah.
Would it
Let's
be
see. I think it's wise that your voice is good. So why
yeah.
don't you? Yeah, let's call back again. Maybe it's the line itself,
It's definitely not the
but
line.
but no, it's definitely not the line. It definitely because I can hear that it's definitely the mic.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there another way to do it, as you said?
Let's see here.
Go through the computer?
I am through the computer. Maybe I could do another microphone. We don't have to hang up though.
No. Okay.
I'll just quickly plug this other one in, and let's see. Hey, sorry about that.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna
We're
disconnect
going
this
to
one.
get your sound right.
I appreciate that. So just gonna mute myself for 1 second.
Hmm.
Check, check. Is that okay?
No, it's better, but go ahead and just talk.
Okay.
Let's hear and see if it's
So
better.
let's see.
Oh, it's really buzzing. It's like got a real buzz.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
you've got a real buzz. It's I can't describe it. It's not a pop. Yeah, it's like a massive a buzz every time you. Um, yeah.
Let's go back.
Oh, I see. Is it? What happens when you? Yeah, something is going on where your mic is. That's right. I think we'll just go with it. You know what I mean?
Okay, I appreciate that. So while you're speaking,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna mute myself. This way, at least there's no background noise, and I'll pop in for a question.
Um, if if you're able to speak directly into the microphone, maybe what the mic is that you have there, that might work. Let's just talk a little bit and let me hear it, see if it's going to work.
Okay.
I think,
So yeah,
yeah.
I turned down the microphone master volume, and
Wow, it's so bad. It's really bad. It's so bad. It's
oh,
really just terrible. Part of it is there's something going on that really is ruffles every time your mic is getting comes on. There's something ruffled also along with the voice, but the voice is buzzing. Yeah, man, it's not. It's like we don't have a proper connection. I think it could be the phone, because usually it's fine, isn't it? I think give us a call. Give us a call back and let's see if it's in the line. Maybe I think it could be. Yeah. Or you want? Yeah. Go ahead. You give me a call back, or I'll call you. I think. Okay, mate.
Hello, hello. Check, check. Let me see. Here. Oh, it is the mic. Hey, Dr. Jubb.
That's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Well,
That's much better.
oh, I appreciate that. I
Oh,
checked it.
you.
Oh,
Yeah. So make sure you've got your good volume up for you. Yeah. Oh, that's really good.
thank you
So
so much.
many people actually really have issues, don't they, where the world is, and a lot really like what we talk about is that you as a man or as a woman, that's a title, and of course a teacher is a title, um, and a mother or a father is a title, a child. An inspector is a title. Those are titles, aren't they? And then but all the other titles we just talked about are all titles which is really to do with sort of mental sets, and something that you would select for some benefit. And yeah, so otherwise, you and I, we are the absolute owner of the correct title. That's so very important because someone might not have that title where they are, but somebody has to have a claim against what that is. But then somebody would have to be some issue that related to who the absolute owner was. And so a lot of things need to be corrected because somebody could say that they have become aware that rights was abridged somewhere and they weren't given proper due process. And so that could be corrected because somebody's just saying, could you note what the postal is that you have? And you could be putting a proper postal where you are. So those are things which should be corrected. And upon that correctedness and things, of course, errors were there. And so, how can anything be proper where errors were fully? And so that's an error, in fact. And you have an absolute privilege where anybody is to, in a corporate mode, even commerce or anything, to be able to, abate, meaning to stop or to block some action where something is going on. And it's someone could then, have some few things which was some abstract that would be then a list of various things that someone had that was of the property, perhaps that what was this that related to that some abuse of power could have been where anything is. Of course, in being, when you've got an ID, and your ID is as a wheelchair person, and you're a state national as an American, and you've done things which cause you no longer to be considered as a ward, but most are running around and have got an infant decedent's account, and that could be rescinded, meaning it could be done in a manner that it's left open and open both ends for debit and credit. But it means that you're the one who really should have some wet ink autograph to be for the use of what that is as a co-trustee of it. Once that is, someone can have an exemption identification in which you can look to see and get a number that's proper that for you, so that you're not a corporation. Otherwise, a lot of these things where anybody's given something to, they're only being given to from a corporation to a corporation. Why? Because you could join like with that, can't you? That's a fiction joined to fiction. But leaving you out where something is sort of an error which can be corrected, because it's really the venue that you have the capacity to select from the land, and those are rights which you have to be able to, be defending and protect title which you have, which you have a right to travel, and that's not commercial, and so not originally existed for someone to have something commercial, that they have something private, and so what has someone done to be able to have corrected something so things could be good for them? Because there's always a law of necessity where something is, someone is, and there also is a law that relates to the amount of time that's spent where you are connected with something. So it's minimal contact. So where that minimal contact is, so that it's sort of some fray exists, and so that's where somebody could get caught where something is. And so it's that when you're showing up wherever anything is, you're the absolute owner, and you have the correct title, and you have a reversionary interest in the matter, and rem meaning the thing itself, and you have a right to abate anything by questioning things as to whether it's been posted to you correct, or that's very important, of course, and because most things could be being posted and being put that you're in a corpse and it's coming from a corpse, and so that's sort of things which can be corrected. Somebody could post to you proper as it should be, but otherwise it's sort of, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember studying with you, and then also on social media, and a lot of, not a lot, but there's people that have methods of they get bills and things in the mail, and then they're writing in red ink on the bills. Is that the type of thing you're talking about?
What you're talking about is where someone has some issue, no matter what. There's a capacity that anybody has to be able to make sure that something is discharged where it is a charge. Lots of things, for instance, like charges that come which doesn't have any service that were given to you, but is really some sort of punishment, in fact, because you're being asked to have done something, but no crime was existed. So where no crime, harm, injury, or cost was, things which go on like that could be called infractions, yes? Like under a statute. And something that's written under a statute is always written in a law which says you shall or you will. And that's a future. So everything there is on a fictional level and can't use words like from. And so the very first thing is you have a nature of something, and then you have the cause of things. So you first have to discover the nature of things versus the cause of action. So you can't just be going to a cause of action before you discover what the nature is of the matter. Somebody could be railroaded wrongfully because you have a right to make sure that the nature of the matter is, and you could object if that was railroaded, and you could make a note for the record that it was railroaded. Because, okay, so then, after that, somebody can have something that could go on past it, because they could have some appeal, but they could be objecting to the issue of the nature not being resolved. That's important because within the nature, what does that mean? It means you from the land as a venue. What's the subject matter as jurisdiction? These are things which all relate to the nature of the matter at hand. And what you're talking about is this is sort of a living matter that relates to your identity and some sort of identity fraud, or is it just a matter that you're using things which you could learn about how to do, and that's to accept for value, for consideration given. And that's what you would do with anything where charges are. So somebody has to know what could they do, and that could be another time frame that we talk a bit about that. But it should be that anybody should know how to stay in honour, and that's very important. And you're staying in honour by being able to correct the things where anything is, and give a chance for something to come back because you're getting agreement about where things are. But you should be doing what you can to correct any user fluctuating against your account, which lots goes on past the point, because a lot of these things end up as being abandoned wrongfully, and a massive charge goes on to all of it. And that's what the Treasury really cares to make sure that's defended against. So much goes on, it's incredible, like a fractional reserving of all the money that comes in from the bid performance and payment bonds that's put up for various activities that goes on a government level and on a court level, where they're written and put up. It's really part of the debt that goes on. That it's just a horror, and that's wrong, you see. And so it behooves anybody to make sure that they're correcting any mistake. You can't go along where some mistake is. You should make sure that you're correcting what that is. And it's a federal offence for someone to interfere with your mail by them or anybody after they've been given notice that you have a proper mail. That's what something is. It's your domicile, and it's simple where you are as a man or as a woman doing business as, so that you're not the name. You've just said you're doing business as that name, okay? So you're staying in honour, you're putting things into you've done some study a bit, and you're learning a little bit. So today it's possible for us to talk just a bit about staying in honour, which that's very important, to be honourable. And there's trust, honour and faith, and one should stay with those things because that's very good. Otherwise, of course, abusive process goes on where somebody is only put to be under a colour of vice admiralty law, where equity law would be for this and certain common law is, where a lot of issues relate to you as a being, not just a chattel in a picture which you have to have someone else represent you because you're only a corpse. The issue of the nature of whatever is going on is very important before you're starting to talk about anything that relate to something that cause of fact or cause of things is cause of action. So before cause of action is, you have to be able to know what the nature of a matter is, and that's kind of what you're doing or I'm doing. And the very first thing that we've just said is that you're the absolute owner of the correct title, and so a lot of bridging of boundaries goes on, and it's really that you've got a reversionary interest to be able to protect, where that bridging of boundaries goes again. It's sort of the what's butted up against as a boundary, certain property sort of things. And acceptance really is unconditional as an acceptance of your putting things forward and what comes back from what this is. It's legal binding agreement that you're creating, and it's debt, of course, that would be paid, and that you have being given consideration, and them giving you consideration, because if you're accepting for value, you're letting them know that you'll pay the tax for what that is, that can be dealt with. And so that's the consideration you're giving them. The consideration you're being given is this is currencies of account. It's being turned to currencies of exchange. And all that's been there where that is some consideration is being given to a corpse. And so that should also be given to your corpse. So consideration is things which is shown, that if you, And any notice, it means an affidavit, but it's only in a common law court of record, trial by jury process, which an actual testimony exists. Otherwise, it's not testimony per se, but it has to come toward what that is, because it's something that would then be spoken under oath and then, witnessed by the state. So, otherwise, none of it is testimony, but can come to be for that if somebody says notice or an affidavit as a bill, because everything is a bill. You're asking for something to be done. So you can ask for a special appearance bond to be written up for you, as you're the principal of the bond in the matter. And so now you've done that, and that's very good, because all of the things which should go your way. You're the major insurer of the matter, and you've taken care of that. Otherwise, you didn't do things that's like that. There's an accepted condition more where a chain of command is, and where a condition of a claim is, and the proof of the claim, which can be questioned, because you can have said that you didn't see such, which you maybe didn't, in fact, something that you weren't understanding at all. But to produce a document which has your autograph or a wet autograph versus some electronic signature generated is something which isn't really proper service per se, but was really someone could be made the trustee, because you could use IRS forms like Form 56 and things to make sure that you've made someone the trustee of the matter, and who's the prosecutor can become the executor of the matter, because something could be going on where it needs to be corrected, and who said that they were the creditor of you? You're giving them notice to have something corrected, and if it wasn't, then you become the creditor of what the matter is itself, your own credit, and that's how things go. When you're staying on you've really got something which is from the beginning, and then something after that is something abandoned, and so you've got these two things. And you've got something which is the beginning. If something has stayed there with the beginning, that's fine. But then otherwise it's gone to something already that's about abandonment. And that's what you're correcting, or anybody is. Abandonment really means that some legal right was abated or given up or cancelled by a writ. And then somebody could have been abducted because of it, you see, and to have taken away something by force, that's what it means to be abandonment. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so when you're saying you stay in honor, that's the court recognizing us as a man?
Yes, yeah, what is the nature? That's right. You can't go past that. You should stay with what that is. Where you have any response to something, you're only in your own set of things, staying with what you have where you are from the land, what's common. Then you're coming from common law, you're coming from equity as you can. What is the reason for you to be under vice admiralty, meaning that you're only chattel, meaning that you're not competent to be, and that you're a minor, just because you didn't correct that. So we started out by talking that you have a state us, and so if you don't state us, what your state us is, your state us of that NREM on the matter, the thing is that you're the absolute owner of the correct title. Okay, so there must be a title that's related, which there is, to a matter. That title is your BC bond and everything that comes to be connected to that. And the title of the matter, you're the principle of the matter that currency would be drawn from. Business is going on around you. Somebody wants to get paid, and so there's a lot of things that go on like that, isn't it? And that somebody, like we said, could have just got caught up in something, and where something has gone on like that, it was of an ended malice for you as as a nuisance, and you want that cleared up, don't you? And so there's a lot of things issues that's like that. We're just putting aside the idea that somebody could learn how to pay for something, not pay, but discharge a charge, and have the wherewithal and learn how to do such a thing. But we could live in a world where it's made better for what things are, and not the way that this is. It's sort of very more complicated, and a lot of wordsmithing has gone on, like legalese and things, which is under vice admiralty, and so somebody has to be represented under that circumstance, because that's not anything that you might be able to understand. That's somebody else doing their thing, but it's an offer and a response. You always somebody's made an offer to you, and you can accept that, or you can say, I accept that really conditionally or unconditionally. But you've got a legal mindedness, what you've said, and you have always an opportunity to be able to address something. A debt really should be paid, and it's sort of given a bill, and it has to be accepted as agreed under various laws. And today under bankruptcy laws and things. So the corpse can't do anything much to you because it's bankrupt itself, and it's a fiction itself. If you're the one who has to make sure that you fix things up, otherwise you're being given a service. Basically, let's see where we're going with this. I think that
is that a terminology like foreign national, or something?
A man as a title, yes.
Okay.
Or a woman. A woman is our species, yes.
Okay.
Or are you a driver? Is your ID a driver? Yeah, and is the vehicle said it's owned by a corporation, and they own all of it, and they've only said that is a commercial vehicle, but, well, okay, somebody in a corpse said that, but then, you can be using something which has been registered by a corpse, and because you use currency or something, it just said that you're in the corpse. It's like, this is called minimal contact, and learning what do you do to be able to have minimal contact where something is, because you're not in the corpse, okay? You're a man. How can the hell you be doing this? This is your living being. One has to wake up, and we're just looking at ways to be able to correct things. And the very first thing that you can correct up what we've said is that first you could say that you are the what? No. Yes, of course, but you're the holder of the title. You're the absolute owner of the correct title. Okay? Yes? So can someone question that? I'm asking, can someone question it?
Standing right there, so how could they?
Well, no, I don't think so, unless there could be some claim against you. But otherwise they can't, no. You're the holder of some document which currency is being generated from, okay? All right? And so you have to be acting more like the creditor about the matter. Yes? Yes? Okay, so we're just talking about how you could manage something where you are, and how you can respond to something, right?
Okay.
So anything you get in the mail, anything like, let's say that's a summons for you, right?
Okay.
Yes? Yeah. Okay, so what I just said is you have to correct something. What did I say? You have to correct what? The nature. You have to correct the nature of the matter. You've got a nature, yes? And you've got a cause of action, haven't you? So what we'd be doing, it's not useful to go on to the cause of action when the nature must be known. Okay? Right? So let's just stick with the nature for a second. Yes? Because that must be corrected. Shouldn't it be? Because what happens when you've given someone notice, or you do, and you've said, please, if you're sending me something, please give it to me in my proper postal. Or I'm correcting that because you didn't have that. So now somebody has to post something to you correct. Are they going to post that to you with your real true name, doing business as? Are they? Are they going to do that? What would happen if they did? It means what? It means you're not the name. Okay. All right. There's so much that's in there, Lukey, yes? But you're correcting things, and you've got a right to be able to correct things. And what did I say? You've got a right to abate things. Yes, you do. And you do that. You correct it if you can. But you're straight up just saying, look, those are things that you could correct, you should correct, or you could. But you've not got any argument about that. You've got some controversies arisen, but that controversy could be arisen that's out there, not where you are. And all sorts of things could have gone on where bridging of boundaries exist, like I said. You've got a reversionary interest in the matter, basically, and that you have a right to be able to put something forward and ask them, please, could you correct what this is? And if you can, good. And anyway, on condition of acceptance, I accept this for value because you're the principle of the matter anyway. And so you can't be in denial about what that is. That's just, that doesn't mean you agree with whatever went on there. It's just that you're agreeing with fiction. You don't have an argument with fiction. It's not a wise thing to do to bring any arguments up whatsoever. All you're doing is correcting things to make sure that you've been served proper as it is, and you might not have been, and that's called the presentment part of everything. Have you seen a claim? Most people haven't, or if they didn't agree with what that claim is. And who was it sent to? Was it sent to you from a fiction to your fictional being? And is that correct for your own self? You see? It's sort of been set up so that you have a straw man, and that you can only deal with the corpse through the straw man, right? Because it's in bankruptcy. And under the way the system has worked. And that if you're just correcting your postal, you're helping yourself a lot, because someone has to note what this is, and they can't just be sending something to you per se that just doesn't make note, or that they did. That's something that you would want to have pointed out as something that should be a mistake that be corrected. But you don't have any argument about the issue. You just want to make sure that you can have it paid. So where a court is, what did I say someone could do? I said that you could make sure the bond, you get a special appearance bond. Didn't I say that?
Yes.
Okay. How do you do that? You call up and get that. Okay? And you make, what did I say about that? I said, make sure that whatever it is, you can put everything underneath what that is so that it's taken care of. So I'm just talking to you, just us or our listeners, just a bit about what could you do where some matter is more, where some court matter is or something. There's lots of issues that people have, but there's various things that you can do, and there's something that you could learn how to do. And it's accepting things upon condition of a claim and having proof of some claim and producing some document which really is autographed more, which is without recourse, that's given to be discharged, and that you could learn how to do. It's very simple to do that part of it, and that maybe we could learn a bit and talk and maybe do a bit of a show, something a bit about that. But it's, you just said, look, I don't want an electronic generated signature, which this is or was or something, and it's you're doing what you can to abate what the matter is, and I said that you get IRS Form 56, I think it is, and you're appointing people, various people, and so you're taking charge of what is the matter. Why would you want to do that? Well, because a matter could be being expressed in a not right way, okay? And you would like to express it in the right way. And so that you're doing this, it's really that you have honour, and you only have title as a man, as a woman, and from the land. And so this is to do with the nature of things versus the action and cause of things, which is after that. But you're describing and making sure that you've got the nature of the event proper versus, so you have the nature and the cause of action. And so most have just run to the cause of action, haven't they? And not dealt with what the nature is, which what we're talking a bit about, because it's stay and honour, and you have honour, trust and faith, and you've got personal integrity with the things that you're doing, and you're looking to make sure that you deal with wherever some controversy is, and under common law, you've really got something existing which is from the land. Otherwise, you've got something under commerce where you're appearing just as a fiction, and under that process, the processes are very different. And you've got something which is the common law, which is the nature of the event, and then you've got something which is some describable act, or some wrongdoing or whatever. But you've got to see things which is what's
this I really would like to learn how to do what you're talking about, because I got a ticket, while driving a while back, and I just don't know if it.
Okay, so tickets should be dealt with, and you can, and there's ways to deal with that, which you should. It should be called to be made sure that you've connected, and to make sure the office of which can help verify to make sure that that's done is fixed up, and that is that you could call wherever and make appointment to make sure that you can get something handled like that, and that what you're doing is going in to handle that, and they're accepting for value what this is, and you're doing things like I've just said, just like this. Yes? So this is an example, but there's so many examples, and it's the same. One doesn't have to describe the content of the event of anything. They're the same. They're exactly. You've got, you've got what's indescribable, what's indescribable, what's really not a proper act. You should do what you can, or anybody, to correct the thing itself. If no harm, injury, cost, or damages, why shouldn't you be the one who actually paid this off, which you could learn how to do what that is by accepting it for value, and you're doing that as part of what this process is. It's you're putting your presentment forward, and you're giving that to someone, and they're getting court satisfaction. You're having a conditional acceptance, and or otherwise some rejectedness of a file of some dishonour or something is. But you're staying in honour because you don't stay with a lack of care. But one learns it's okay that you just, by the doctrine of necessity, didn't have to deal with something because you didn't know how to. You could say, now I know how to deal with this. Okay, that's acceptable. If not, you've got you're not having any argument, and you sure do. You cause a lot of argument or anybody does, by being silent. By being silent, you're just acquiescing as anybody would, but you're not, because it's sort of under some protest, perhaps, because you might have not known what to do. But when you could find out what to do, that you should. There's, in a moment in time, maybe nobody has to go through all of this sort of stuff, but it's your testimony wherein if you get it under common law court of record, trial by jury process, and that you have a right to put that under the Supreme Court if you want, as you do. But you go along as the debtor, and you put any process forward, and that you get a default from it, and now you've become the creditor of the matter. Okay, it should go to who is of the favour more, is where you are. But somebody must be staying in honour, like what we said. And I said, did they send anything to you with a proper postal? No, they didn't. Okay, well then you have to correct that. You've got an opportunity to be able to do that. So if one thing isn't right, look, you can't have a proper contract. You've got to have everything proper on the four corners of the document for something to be right. And so that's the most important thing. It's otherwise, you're looking at who's betraying truth where something is, yes? And it's really, one could challenge the subject matter and the jurisdiction of subject status, because it really couldn't be necessary that you could be dealing with something and it would be dealt with by someone else under a colour of vice admiralty, which you have a right to be able to select the venue, and so that's all to do with the nature of the event, the nature of things, and you've got the nature, and then you've got the cause and activities that relate to some cause. But before it, like what we're talking about, you're talking about the nature, and you must have time to be of any presentment to make sure that this is covered, yes? And so often it's not, people getting railroaded. And I think what we said was, what did we say? You're making the magistrate or the judge the trustee of the matter? Yes, absolutely, to help you with this. And you're appointed to this. And then you've made the prosecutor the what? The executor of the matter. That's right. And it means what? That you're a beneficiary of the matter because you've expressed how the trust is, where something is. And that, how did you appear? I said, by special appearance. And what did I say? I said, you want to know what the nature of the matter is. Can you remember that? You just said, I don't understand the nature. I would really care very much to know what the nature is. And this is what I'm putting this forward to you, so that you can be some response back, that you get some to fall on, but that you give them notice to what this is. Good. Otherwise, you've got nature and jurisdiction, and you've got a cause of the procedure, it's correcting certain things. You're saying that you're doing business as. So what does that mean? It means that you're not the name. So somebody must have a claim against you, the real person, because they can't be connecting with you just from their own fictional level. Yeah, a fiction connecting with your fiction? No. Those are the things which could be corrected, but that they couldn't or wouldn't be isn't the issue. It's just that you've pointed out some controversy that's existed. That's not your controversy. That's a controversy that's arisen in some recordedness of what something is. Everything is in your private trust. It only is that somebody has to have some claim against you. But otherwise, some duties existed, which is an encumbrance or some lien is, that has a claim of evidence of a debt, and could be either public or private. Okay. Well, if it's public, there isn't a claim because there's no harm, injury, cost, or damage, and so it's private for you to put in confidence and learn how to do things such that you can help correct the things where you are. As somebody could learn about this more as a private awakening general could. Yet a debtor really is existed that's under bankruptcy, and all the corpse is under bankruptcy, and so it itself can't file a claim. It's only through an ens legis, which is a legal name, a fictional legal name, and there's corpus delicti behind that, because somebody must be, which is just by presuppositions apparent, but somebody, you have a right to be able to take that to a level that's not just presupposition per se, which you can, and so that's what you're doing when you're correcting the process. Let's see. I think that we're just looking at a modernized form of slavery and the issues that relate to having taken someone's title away, which is a modernized form of slavery, where you don't have a proper ID, but you've only got an ID that's compromised as a drive hall, which is a profession or something, which is commercial, and coming under some commercial statute of some nature of things. what's the cause of action only isn't a proper thing where someone is in an argument. It's really to stay with the nature of the event and to deal with things at the present of the nature of the event. Yes? So you always have the nature and then you have the cause of action. You have these two things. So no one should be going on to a cause of action unless you've got the nature of things corrected, proper. And now you're staying in honour, yes? Otherwise, you're looking at a lot of truth having been betrayed more. But someone really could object to anything that went on, and they could say, I object to that record, and that the court reflect that it's something that I requested as a response, but it wasn't in the time that passed that you were given such. And so, it sort of can be taken up somewhere where someone really wasn't doing the right thing, where contract is. It's like you're asking for something or you're connected with people and you're always contracting, never not. And if someone's really like, it can be answered by setting something up with the district attorney or someone and just saying, I want to make sure this is settled and I care to make sure that it's paid. And so you're going about things this way. You're putting a paper forward just to say, look, I think they've got some issues which I'd like to be known, and I'm not arguing that anything is. I want to just make sure that this is being accepted for value, for the consideration given, and then you're giving them things so that you're staying the principle of the matter. And so all are doing business really, and it's the danger of a bottom line is going on, isn't it? And that's the cause of action where something is sort of relating to somebody's profit or gain, but you've got property to be protected, like even your signature has a fungible value, and so there's a lot of property that you're protecting, and you should make sure that any remedy that you can use, you have the capacity to be able to, and it's rules of your endeavour, which is the nature first, and then the cause is, you see, and it's sort of a word nature. Actually, the word nature itself of the procedure, the nature of the cause of action. It's the nature. And so now you're using a word which is very important because this is before procedure and things. It's the nature you have to understand first and have dealt with. And so the debt really is more something else beyond, but it's the nature that can help correct the debt because you're the principle of the matter and you can accept for value that. You could learn how to use the paper that they gave you just to accept it for value and things. But in the exchange, there's a medium of exchange, and it really is a deposit more where you've got currencies of account, and that currency of account gets turned into currency of exchange. And there's various financial institutes which you deal with, or someone does, that you have to have knowledge as to how to do things, and one cannot really have done things in the name, yet doing business as that name. Otherwise, there's an operational sort of assumptions. You see? Okay, go ahead.
You're gonna think this is a dumb question because I've heard you speak on this topic for several years ago, and I probably should know by now. But I guess my language is so poor. It's just like I can't even hold a conversation with a normal person. But I've been looking while you're speaking and typing in some
Mm.
keywords and stuff like that. And why does it say? It's kind of like a basic question. Why does it say that um, the saying A4V is, according to Wikipedia, I don't know, maybe it's not a trustworthy source, they're saying it's a phony payment method promoted in the redemption email.
Um, well, lots of things that anybody does. Could you say that because you didn't correct the nature of the matter, and somebody like you're just talking right now about a cause? Yes? Yes?
Okay.
Are you there, mate?
Oh, yes, sorry.
I've got someone calling in. I'll just ignore it just for a moment. Let's see. Yeah, so we've got on to some cause, haven't we? Yes? And lots of causes exist, don't they, right? But I've just said that something is existing before this. If you can correct it, you're to know what the nature of the event is. And did you? And was it? I don't think so. I think that's the problem. I think that's actually what you need to do. I think you actually have to correct the nature of the event, yes, and what you're doing. Can you understand this or no? If you do follow what I'm saying right now, I'm not sure if you did something before, but I'm saying, can you follow what this is now? Because it can't be, I'm not sure what went on before. I don't know. But I could tell you that it's very important that you could pay attention to the things I've just talked about here, because I just really thought, oh, I really would give you some energy and give people who are listening something worthwhile. And we've just said quite a few things, haven't we? We've just said you've got a power of using your real true name and doing business as, didn't we? Yes? Yes, we did. And we said, look, learn how to write a postal. Learn how to write a postal, okay? Let's do, now, when you've got just something and somebody does something, do you have a feeling that somebody could do something and they just don't do anything right? Yeah. So, like, there's something that somebody could say that some truth has existed where anything is of itself, but like, how do you define what that is? Because it's so bloody vague, what you just read. Yes? Yes? Okay. It's not put in any context, is it? Is it? Is it put into any context? Okay, so no, it's not. Look, you're going to read a lot of things, I'm telling you, and it's ridiculous. Now, it doesn't mean that somebody did something and they just didn't follow what I said. They didn't go forward and actually put something together so that there actually is but as a 14th Amendment slave, somebody could put forward things because under House Joint Resolution 192 and you've got Public Law 73, yes? Have you read those? There's no point in you and I or anybody honest unless you really understand things a little more. But if you look at that, you're going to see in 1933 what on the 5th, you've got a couple of things going on in March. You've got something going on the 3rd, and you've got something going on the 5th. And during this time, you've got gold being taken away, all the substance. Now, if you take everybody's substance away, is that treason? Yes, it is. But it's not if I give you a loophole to go through, isn't it? And that's, and so if I take everything away, what did I offer as a corpse? That you would have what? Your bills paid. Your bills paid. Your bills paid. Everything, because they were in the bankrupt and they took your substance away. What the hell are you going to do? You've got bills, that's a tax, and you have to know what to do with that. And you can have these paid. You have to learn about this. So where someone doesn't know anything about anything and they're just going to read little things like this, God help us, it's like, You have to actually have some things inside more as you look at anything. And what you've got inside, that science, it causes you to be able to look at things in a manner that doesn't shift what you have inside yourself you're obedient to. You could see how someone could use words to wordsmith because you have an emotional feeling about something that's not put in any context, correct?
Yeah.
For instance, someone could say, are you A? And then they could give you some bloody name. And I would agree with them, you're not that. But if somebody keeps saying they are that, it's like going to be messing them up, isn't it? Unless they said they're a man or a woman. You could say, I am. And how can anybody mess up after that? But there's a way that someone could look at and listen to what I've said, and I'm giving you some clues as to how to manage anything, in fact, where something is. And I think that there's a medium of exchange which somebody could deposit, like I said, and if you didn't do that, you could. I'm just talking about how you could do this where you are. Yes? So I think somebody needs to look into this more. And if they've never looked into it, it's really not quite right. They need to have somebody really give them some advice more, and they could listen to what this is and they could learn about things. And then something is very specific about what someone's doing. So I want to say that what you said is not a complex, it's a complex equivalent. Yes? It's a complex equivalent, honest. Right. Because can somebody know what to do or how to do or what the hell that means? If somebody said you're accepting something for value, what does that mean?
Let's see.
Upon consideration given. What does that mean?
So basically, it's if you are received of a document or some, for example, like a bill, you can discharge it.
Okay. You see, we must turn your volume down, I guess, or something, because it's interfering. Yeah, it's still there. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't? Yeah. Oh, wow. It's so huge in my ears, yeah. So I barely could hear myself hardly. But I can, yeah, I'm still like hearing a great buzz for me. I know that it's probably the volume thing or something, and your mic. Anyway, we got to get this fixed up because it's really pretty disastrous itself. But an operation. There's an operational, there's an operational assumption, and that is an assent, an assent that you have to be a corporation. So you've got an operational assumption that it's okay that you're just an account as a corporation. If you feel that's okay for your own self and you select that, you could, but why wouldn't you want to learn how to correct that itself? And these are matters which it's just, you could learn how to accept something for value, for consideration given. When you're accepting something for value, what you're doing is you're giving value, you're accepting it. What does that mean? It means you're going to pay the tax for what that was, that money that was collected. Because taxes would be due for all those others that collected money from all of that. And you're kindly giving that to someone. So you would say there is not a process for someone to be able to discharge a debt and to assist to cause someone who had made monies from something, and now to correct the debt, they've got to pay all the taxes due that would be on that. if you accept something for value, you could help that, because otherwise it's a bloody massive process that has to be, doesn't it? Yes? So why wouldn't somebody in commerce have the capacity to give value to someone that was in a corporation that had something, and that you cared for this to be paid and discharged, and you're the principal of the matter, and then that can be paid just as a they've used your number, haven't they? Yes, they have. Yes, they have. Go ahead and look it up on Standard & Poor's and tell me exactly how much that they've taken from your BC. And somebody has spent all that money. Now, did you spend any of that? I'm asking. No, you didn't. Now, don't tell me that you're not asking for consideration, and someone cannot ask for consideration and use these words. Are we talking about something that somebody's doing, or are we just looking at something that someone is so biased in the way that they're putting things? It's just an example of absolute stupidity, especially that wherever you got that from, and biased. But that's just not for us to be cared for too much. The account is now, but you cannot be just an account or a corporation. And I'm just saying, if you are, well, you can operate what this is. Yes, you can. You have to know what you're doing where you are. But I could give people permission to be able to use something, but you might not give them permission to use your SS number or something, but to only use your BC bond or something. You're the holder of that. You could. One needs to look into all of this, and that's very important, because you have to understand what that process is about. Honest, and you can't be just dabbling into it and having a shallow a bit about it. I don't know what to say, except that words can be used to cause someone to have emotional value toward an issue or a topic, and they did that, and they did it so elegant, didn't they? And so that's what's gone on for everyone, and it would continue to go on until you yourself, 33% of people, are not going to stand for something that's confusing and very confusing, especially when you know something must exist about that. But please, I think, look at everything this way, okay? And that might be the lesson, because it's obvious that it should be. You need to look at things in a context and see that something is contextually put. And is any context put where something is? No, in this circumstance, no context is put where anything is, but somebody's just made a judgment about something. And so you're going to see a lot of things going on where there's somebody should have pattern recognition for what things are like that, which is a complex equivalent. But anyway, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I think it's really important. I can only speak for myself. I guess that for me to learn how to speak in these terms, and to learn the method that you're talking about, and that it would actually be beneficial for me in not just dealing with the corporation matters, but also interpersonal relationships. Like, is this a way to contract with people we meet in everyday life?
Everybody, yeah, because actually what we're talking about is something that's a maximum. One has to learn what is living and who is real versus what's fictional. And what's fictional is really fictional. This is not living at all. It's very illusionary. One could be more with what's of an unlimited worth, which is you, a man, and you're the real estate, and you're the principal of the matter, versus somebody getting some service over there as an infant decedent because you're lost at sea and you haven't learned how to operate in the holy sea as one could. But this, like what we're talking about today, sort of is going to help people where things are, and that a condition really where you are is a counter offer. It can be offered as a counter offer, and it's a presentment. And you can be saying, like we just talked about, that the presentment that I thought that you gave was defective, and I would care that this is corrected, as it isn't or wouldn't be. It just is noted that that's so, and unless I'm responsive about it, it just remained to be non-controvertible, and that here's a bill of exchange for you, and then that one can have learned how to do what that is, and you're accepting this because why? Well, because someone used your account and they've used it and used it and used it, and anybody could have come along and they just got jumped on anything and they used your account, didn't they? Yes, they did, and it was automatic for them. They got an agricultural lien and they got a bank warrant out and things and stuff to get paid, and they got paid from that, and they used your account to do it. Yes, they did. And so the question is, do you have the capacity to be able to be shown consideration? Yes or no? You must, I'm telling you. And so you're accepting things for value given upon consideration. And so that's what we're talking about, where something is, yes? And so one's learning a little bit more about what this is. But because a lot of things, if you don't do that, what I just started to say at the very beginning is either something really is right in the very beginning, and that's all, or otherwise then you've got something that's abandoned. And then the issue really is that it's all about something abandoned, and that something was abrogated from you, and so then a lot of process went on that kind of not been right. And I said, here's a way to help correct what that is, and you want to stay in honour where you are, and you're giving a bill of exchange, like I said, and this is somebody's accepting a bill for you to be able to stay in honour, and where dishonour is, there's argument, and somebody says they want somebody else to come up with an answer about something. This is argument. It's to really reject whatever, and argument isn't going to end up much anywhere, and it's not relevant to what the matter is, what we're talking about, which is just straight up to do with administrative law, and by dealing with things in a manner that relate to what this is, because everything else is lower down past that point. Because a lot of these things we started to say, there is no claimant against you. There is no harm, injury, cost, or damage. There isn't. Somebody made that up. Somebody went along with what that is. Well, this matters then, like what we're talking about. It really does. How long did it take someone to respond to any presentment? If a long time took, it's like some acquiescence was to what it was, and you could understand maybe somebody didn't fit into where something was itself, and as some action is taken. But if you're doing the right thing, you're really working for the office of the Inspector General, which everybody should be. My God, why not? That's so important. And to help the Treasurer at the moment, Janet Yellen, please. You or I, if you don't do your job where you are, it's just like slacked off. It's like, oh my God, the reason for that, Jesus, you and I, we have to perform our proper civic duty. And when you don't, a guild or people or something far away is just taking things over, and that is so bad and so wrong, please. You're assisting the Treasury of the US, and you're helping with presentment, and you're honouring things with acceptance, and you're doing things to help correct error. And you have a right to do things like that. And you can go ahead and look into a Black's Law Dictionary or anywhere, and you can find these things. And I don't know that you're going to find it from some biased opinion about something that somebody just said, and it causing people not to be considerate of something, which is what this topic is all about. I mean, it'd have to be able to say that what you just said, which somebody brought up maybe, is complex equivalent to what I've said is not being useful at all. That's completely wrong. But an affidavit really is as a presentment and can be as a certified history. It's a really process that's complete, which begins because you've got a proper exchange of documents and things. And so was there any proper exchange of documents? No. Well, there might not have been because the doctrine of necessity was you didn't even know what to do. And this is protest because you could feel something wasn't right. And now you know what to do and you're caring to put something forward to help correct what this is. So that's good reason, isn't it? Yes, it is. But wherever anybody is, where something is, one could do this. And that that they could sort things out so that it's dealt with. Otherwise, there could be all sorts of things going on out there commercially that could impact where someone is. But what the time is, which is given, one should always do what they can to help correct, so you're not having any dishonour. And the response, which really is honourable, really is otherwise it's sort of dishonourable. You don't want to be in dishonour whatsoever. But it's to agree with your adversary, and you learn quick smart to be able to agree with your adversary, and that's the best way to stay out of any argument. But it really is where someone really is in honour, and that you're looking at what the presentment is itself, and you have a right to question who and what before you go on where anything is. And that's so important. Don't gloss over what this is, because it's about the nature of the action itself, and it's before whatever some action is that something is about. So if somebody really hasn't seen a claim, you could be said, oh, well, I haven't seen a claim. And so you've rebutted the idea that you saw something that existed that satisfied you. And already it is on a record, and there could be errors that's made where something is. And so you're just saying, look, I'm correcting the record, and you've got no argument where anything is. Otherwise, parents parente, which always belongs more to the state, as a guardian in a matter, under vice admiralty, one can have only been dealt with by as chattel as to some just whim, discretion, it's called, by a captain, and that's not a proper solemn process per se of itself, because it can be for only a matter that relates to chattel itself, but not you as a living being. It's really more for us to be more in honour, and it's really us that we can uphold what a title is, because if you don't uphold any title, where's your right? It's only because you uphold what the title is that you and I or anybody has some right. So it's really a conflict often where a state of affairs could have been where something wasn't so competent, where litigation was, yet to be able to stay in honour more, somebody is more the creditor of a matter, or must be, to be able to be resolved of anything. You're getting a record, and you're putting something on the record, and you're accepting things as the charges, as to be the fact of the court, because you're not arguing with any fiction, and you're only putting forward what the fact is for the record, and that you're getting something stipulated as some administrative process, because you just said, I would like to make sure that there's some stipulated administrative processes of agreement, so that equity can be given, so the charge can be discharged. And so it lies more in equity, more, and where some contractual agreement is that's implied, that's implicit. And so this is the nature of the event. This is the nature. This is what you're putting forward where you are, so you're not being put over the top of some other type of nature, which is more the coloured form of vice admiralty, but under more common law, where rights are existing in contract and equity. So it's like coming from the land versus coming of the water or something. It's the nature really of the charges, which is the charges. So we kept today with our whole topic all about the nature of the charges, not the charges, but the nature, and to know what the nature is, and then you could deal with the charges. But it's a cause of the charges, and typical in common law equity, you've really got, otherwise you've got maritime law, of course, you've got federal and state levels of various things, you've got rules of procedure which really differ greatly, and where something is which you could ask, well, is this a criminal matter or a civil matter? Well, the reason why you're asking that is because if it's a criminal matter, you've got more common law, you're under common law more, but whereas the civil matter could be really under a colour of vice admiralty jurisdiction, which, to let the record show, somebody could, but you've requested more that you care for things to be determined, and that you've ordered things on demand to be filed, and one can uphold the oath that's protected, that protects you. They're under oath to be protecting you, and you're right. I have a right, to correct some action, and you could say that. Of course you do. You could say I have a right to challenge subject jurisdiction, which of course you do. And if those are issues, which it is, and so that's called the nature. And it's really the clarification, more of things. Yeah. So anyway, I know that it's been a little bit of a show today, and I think it can be really good for people to.
I'm getting the idea, and listening to you describe the key words and things. To start with the nature, and then is the, I guess, not that I don't want to learn. I guess my first question would be like, to how to start. Like, what would be like the method? Because there's so much. I don't know. Maybe paperwork. Or is it
no, it's not. No, it's not. Really, you see, could we have a mind which is? You're turning your volume up again. Let's might have to turn that down.
I turned it off again.
Can we turn? Oh no, it's still there quite a bit. Yeah. Okay, now it's off. Okay. Let me think. I can't remember what you said, mate. Go ahead. What did you ask again? What is it that somebody wants to achieve? Because there's so many things that someone could do, but where somebody is, what we just had a talk about just was that you're the absolute owner of the correct title, didn't we? And what I just said was, do you have to have a certificate to show that? Well, you would if somebody was questioning that about you, but they'd have to have a claim about that, wouldn't they? And how could they? That would be a bit ridiculous, wouldn't it? I don't think anybody would be able to question you when you said, I'm the absolute owner of the correct title. Obviously you are. That's your birth certificate, okay? So before anybody wanted to go, do you use that and things to assist to help, pay for various things and stuff which needed to be, which one could learn how to do this. And what's that called? It's called accepting for value upon consideration given, yes? And so it's meaning that you're able to use your account. Was someone else able to use the account? Yes. Yes, they have been. And so should you be given consideration to use the account too? Yes, you should be, of course. This is the contract. You can't let somebody use something and you've not been using it yourself. Learn how to do this. To learn more who is a taxpayer and who is not. Okay? And what is a proper tax where something is and what isn't. All right? And that everything you purchase is a tax, in fact. Yeah? And that's something that you could be owed back because of it. One has to know what that is really and learn more about IRS and things. But like, does everybody want to live in a system that's like this? I mean, or do you want to have it be changed because it needs to be fixed up? I think it needs to be fixed up, doesn't it? But right now, we could have shared with somebody what they could do. The question that, where does someone go from where they are? Well, they could learn more about Uniform Commercial Code. That's something, yes, because that's the cause of yourself to become more registering. The idea that you're the holder of a name, and that you're not the name, yes, because otherwise then you're just somebody who's just appearing as the name, and so that's the difference. So then they have to be given a service of showing up as a name, and then they're under a colour of vice admiralty law, and because they're a ward of the court, and so somebody's birth certificate, unless it's been corrected, like we talked about, you're a ward of the court. So would somebody go on to other things, but they haven't started to actually look into the birth certificate, maybe correct that, get yours. What did we talk about? Your birth certificate. We talked about it getting authenticated, and the process of getting it authenticated. Why did we say that your birth certificate needed to be authenticated? Because otherwise money's just coming out of it, and you're not the holder of the bond. And so somebody comes to be the holder of the bond. Now there's no question about who's the absolute owner and having correct title, and everything else. And so, one is learning how to do various things and learning how to domicile yourself. These are things which one would learn how to start to do, like what is a proper postal that's from the land, so that you're not inside someone's franchise corporation, you see? Yes? Unless somebody wants to do that. Yes? But you become more knowledgeable. I would say that it really takes a bit of energy and time and study. But if someone has questions, maybe they could field those to you, and it's something that it's possible for me to help with or something, yes? So those are things which could be as we go along. But how about we do some shows that relate to what this issue is about, and as we go, we can be doing bits of shows as we go, yeah? All right. Anyway.
Posting about it, and there was something that happened recently that, and people who were kind of like charging for courses, they were saying that they don't want to give out the information for free anymore because people aren't doing it right. So I think if you were able to share a method that be for people to be able to do, I would love to help, to do it for myself and for other people too. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So if you listen to what I've said today, you're really given a method, and you're given a process which relates to dealing and correcting the nature of things, and also making sure that you're staying in honour. And these things, that's what we talked about today. So many topics exist, and this is a really great topic we've gone through today. And maybe each time that we connect a bit, if that's okay, then we could go into things a little more that relate to this, perhaps, yes? Yeah, so, yeah, maybe anyway, so you let me know there's some issues or something that we would like to talk about, but I know there's so many topics, not just law, but lots of things. But anyway, all right, mate. Anyway, we had a really great show. I love everybody for tuning in today, and we'll catch up to each other in future shows. Love you, mate. Come on, mate.